Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org today. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
Thought you gonna have my money today.
Man, it is what it is.
Then last week you told me your wife was cooking.
Man, it is what it is.
Then again, I don't think I want your wife cooking because you don't like it.
Well, it is what it is.
This Fly T Miles, also known as Tyree Miles, and Mr. Miles the writer.
Hip Hop K. Check us out every Friday on Be Exposed Radio. It is what it is, 9/11.
Are they ready to? I know they're not ready to accept it, but yeah, exactly. That's my whole thing. Like, how many of them are really ready to think about it like that?
None.
You know, like
I think the problem is
like
I don't even know how we got here, but it's inbred.
Mm-hmm. You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Exchange Live.
The Artist Exchange. The Artist Exchange.
The Artist Exchange.
Artist Man.
Hey, what's up, and welcome to the Artist Exchange radio show here on BeExposedRadio.com. I am your host. I am, first of all, I have to say, I feel really, really, really old today, and I'll say that because my first niece, Diamond Deans, she's 16, and she just got her driver's license. So I feel extremely, I've always felt like an uncle. I like being an uncle, but I've never felt more old than I did today when I got the call to say she had not only passed her written exam on her first try, but her driver's exam on her first time. Me, my sister, or my mother didn't do that. We all had several tries to get out. So shout out to Diamond. She's celebrating today. I'm going to be the first passenger. I've said that already. But I had to send that out to her. But today, we're doing a short series with Miss Whitehead. She represents the veterans organization called
New Vision House of Hope.
There we go. And we're doing a short series with them for the last couple weeks, and the next one more week after this. And they having a veteran stand down, which is a resource fair on the 19th of July, and it's an open space for veterans across the city from all ages, wherever you are in the city, to come on down and just get the resources that are afforded to you, that have been promised to you, and that are for you. So we're gonna talk a little bit more with Ms. Whitehead, and she actually brought a young man who is also a veteran on with us, and we're gonna hear a lot more. So what we've been talking about the last couple weeks, he's gonna kind of piggyback on that and give us his expertise on such matters. So I want to first introduce this gentleman, because we know Ms. Whitehead already, but can you introduce yourself?
My name's Jeff Ellis.
Jeff Ellis. And how long have you been out of the service, or which service were you in?
I was in the Air Force.
The Air Force?
I was in for 10 years. I separated in 2007.
Okay, so did you go through the academy, or did you?
I was enlisted.
Enlisted, okay. So what's the difference?
Academy and the ROTC programs are where the officers come from. Mm-hmm. Enlisted, you typically just take a test.
Okay.
And then you can, if you get different scores, they find different jobs for you. Officers are leadership positions. Mm-hmm. The enlisted typically have a lot of the different work positions and technical positions.
So why did you decide to enlist?
It was something that I'd always thought about, being in the military. As I was going through high school, I realized that I wanted to go out, travel, go different places. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the structure that the Air Force offered. Mm-hmm. And it is certainly something I enjoyed doing.
I always remember my first experience, because that's when the NVA used to be at Mondawmin, and they still have a little. Well, I don't think I think the Army has a center at the Mondawmin Mall right now, and I just remember them just pressuring me, and every time I would walk, I would purposely not walk in that entrance so I didn't have to pass that guy, and I just remember he just was really intimidating, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it, but I just didn't have an interest in it. Did you feel pressure? Because I know you have aspirations, but were they directly connected to being in the service, or?
No, I went looking for them.
Okay.
So I didn't really have that experience, although I have seen it happen. I know that recruiters do go out to schools. They go out and they do cold calls, things like that. So.
But you didn't feel the pressure to be. Okay. So, what was your experience in the service?
It was fantastic. I will say that it was. I served from '97 to 2007, so I came in before the Iraq conflicts.
Okay.
It was a different atmosphere at the time. So
because we wasn't at war, it wasn't a threat or anything.
So when I joined, there was, I went overseas. I was stationed in England and Korea, and it was definitely different than the post 9/11 atmosphere in the military, which was still. The military was great to me. As they always say, you get out of it what you put into it.
So what made you get out, or why did you decide to not re-enlist?
There were a lot of different factors. As the war started, the funding shifted, and a lot of the money went towards the Army.
Okay.
So in doing so, they had to change things around. Technologies change, and the career field I was in was cut.
Which was?
It was computer communication systems controller, which is really telecommunications networks, things like that. So, in order to embrace the new technologies that were out there and to free up funding, they switched the way things were done and came up with new career fields. And in doing so, it's almost as if it's a lottery as to who gets to stay in a career field and who doesn't.
So does that mean stay enlisted or stay in that specific job?
In that specific career field.
Okay.
So they gave me a different career field or the option of getting out and doing the same thing I was doing as a contractor.
Okay.
So I got out, found a position as a contractor, and that's what I did.
Are you glad that you got out when you did, or?
There's mixed feelings. It was the right decision to make at the time.
Okay. So did you have friends that stayed on, and what was the atmosphere for you knowing what was behind the curtain after 9/11? Because I don't think in my lifetime, we've ever experienced anything to that level, like nationwide, maybe some little hot spots, but never, it didn't shake us like that shook us.
It was strange because I had been involved in small conflicts, Kosovo, things like that did happen before 9/11.
But it wasn't to that magnitude.
No, but being overseas, and at the time I was stationed overseas for my first 5 years that I was in.
Oh wow.
So I in fact was in Korea when 9/11 happened. So it was really a totally different feel. As we're here, there was certainly tension. In Korea, it didn't affect anybody. Korea, you'd go out and no one was worried. There wasn't this overwhelming stress in the country. But
in terms of the country or Americans in general?
The country that I was in, which was Korea. So it was almost, it was very distant to me at the time. And I think with a lot of people that were overseas at the time, unless you were in the Middle East, a lot of other countries, we went into a higher alert, but it just wasn't the same feel from those that I know that were here, or people I know that were actually serving at the Pentagon at the time.
It just felt like everything we knew didn't exist anymore. Like protection, of course, everything heightened, and it was much tougher than it is now. Like over time, it got a little bit looser, but it just felt like we had no walls. Like, there were no boundaries. There were no protection. It felt like the protection was gone. I remember being at a funeral that morning, and just the thought of it, like, that day, you never forget where you were and what you felt like. But I always wondered what it felt like from the inside, or somebody who knew what it would feel like from the inside. But you saying being in another country that's not really American, it really didn't have the same impact.
We, of course, on base, I mean, everything changed on base. You know, the security, everything. So we did get that feel, but it was very strange to go from being on the base where it was exactly what was going on here in the U.S. And then walk 5 feet away, and no one, even half the people probably didn't even pay attention to the fact that it happened.
That it had happened. But you knew, like, especially the buildings that had hit, you knew the impact
of that. Yeah. It you know, being in the field that I was in, we dealt a lot with information. So we were always around the people that were getting the information, hearing it, knowing what was going on. So it was, we definitely heard everything as it happened, typically before it came to the media and things like that. So it was stressful knowing those things.
Right.
But also being in the military, there's always, and having been deployed to other places, you get used to the idea of stress. And I was when the USS Cole was bombed, I was there.
Oh wow.
So it wasn't new. It wasn't a new feeling.
Right. For us, it probably was, because we didn't always have to go through those alert systems, but it definitely felt different. Like, I think we were all on the same page at that point. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with our awesome guests. When we return, don't go anywhere. The Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BigExposedRadio.com.
You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. So deeply wounded, but don't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. So you just sit there and you suffer in silence. Your pride won't let you just uncover your secret. Don't wanna look weak in your image, it ain't worth losing. So you just act as if it's nothing happening. God sees you, and God hears you. Yes, God loves you. You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. Suicidal, depressed, but you won't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. You feel alone even though the people surround you. Popping pills every night even though you know they can't solve it. The emotional pain, it just seems way too heavy. Your mind is racing, wanna scream, somebody help me. Ooh, God sees you.
Like, the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything you say. This shit bigger than me, man. Like, yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all. So no imagine how I really having nothing is? Stomach growling, you ain't got no food in the fridge. Surviving on a jail diet of water and bread. No father figure, that's cause my father dead. Mom's bringing different niggas in and out the crib. No money, so you seen it's less than all your friends. But it a joke because your mother was a crackhead. Older sister hoeing off, giving all the homies head. I could wait for your response.
Join the club that gives you stuff.
Hey, thanks!
Radio Loyalty.
Here's how it works.
Just click on the Radio Loyalty banner right now and sign up. Then, you keep on listening like you already do. But now you earn points. Those points add up, and you can trade them in for stuff in the Radio Loyalty store. Earn more points by sharing your station with friends on Facebook and Twitter, answering surveys, and by using the apps in the New Players App Store. Pretty simple, right?
Radio Loyalty.
Click that banner to join now.
There's a rumor going around that Tyler Perry and Oprah are beefing. Well, let me tell you about this. Tyler, okay, told Oprah, bitch, if you don't have my money, we're going to have a problem. Ooh. Oprah said, what is the problem? Ooh. You said if I don't have your money, there was going to be a problem. So Oprah is standing her ground like, bitch, I'm in charge. Yeah, you know, you may have a $250 million studio over there that you film all your shows and movies and stuff on, but I have the empire. That's what Oprah said.
Oh, these are her exact words. Allegedly.
I made this up. But
allegedly.
I made it all up. But there was a rumor that they were beefing. But Tyler confirms that they don't have any issues. So it says it was recently reported on the rumors that was swirling that the twosome were on the outs over constructive criticism of a Perry's show. Well, I got some constructive criticism, and we can be on the outs, Tyler, and I don't give a damn, because I'm going to make a promo out of this anyway and share it to your page. I need to see...
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Do you notice things differently when you're just out and about that you probably wouldn't have noticed post or pre enlisting?
I absolutely think so. They always bring up the term OPSEC, operational security. Mm-hmm. Here I am 12 years out, and that is still a term that I think of. It's operational security means paying attention to everything that's around you, knowing what's going on, vigilance. It's not something that I do consciously, I don't think.
Does it go away at times?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
It does. I think that plays into those that are dealing with PTSD as well. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that play into that. Loud noises, things that you think are out of your system but aren't.
I mean, is it true that PTSD only happens to people that have been on, say, the front lines? Or?
No, not at all. Mm-hmm. That it can happen to anybody. Right. It is not reserved for the military. But you're much more likely to get it if you are in
combat,
in any sort of high stress situation. Mm-hmm. It's whether or not you're on the front line or not. If you know that someone could be shelling you, there's that
you
fear.
In the vicinity of
correct.
Right.
I always think there are people who are on the front lines. You mean boots on the ground, right?
Right, and I hate the term front line because we all at some point all on the front line because my job, helps what you do as your job helps me do what I do. So I hate the term, but it's something that people understand. So the boots on the ground syndrome.
So you have the boots on the ground, but then you also have persons who are manning a computer, operating a drone.
Who can see the bomb coming before it even...
Not necessarily boots on the ground.
Right.
Lines, but they also are suffering trauma when they're having to do what they have to do with what's on that drone. You know what I mean?
Right. And one of my uncles was a cook in the Army, and that's one of the things he said. He said it doesn't matter where you are, because if I'm the cook for the Army men, that means I'm where they are. So it could be, anybody can be affected, and it's just, like you said, the stress of everything. But welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. I want these two individuals to introduce themselves one more time, just in case you're just getting on. So real quick, we're going to introduce ourselves.
I'm Stephanie Whitehead. I am a case manager with New Vision House of Hope, the SSVF program. I support veterans with housing.
And you, sir?
My name is Jeff Ellis. As we were talking, I'm a veteran of the Air Force.
And so we were talking a little bit just about his experience in terms of 9/11 when we went to break. But I wanted to now connect us to what this resource fair was. And so now one day you in the Army and the next day you're not. What was that transition like? I know you said you were still cross seas, but what was that transition like?
When I got out, I became a government contractor, as I mentioned, and the stresses were still there. You deal with a lot of issues. You deal with a lot of the things that I dealt with before. People in this area, you asked a question a little while ago about PTSD and whether or not it only affects those that are boots on the ground, so to speak. It's something that can affect contractors or anyone else that are dealing with these things.
Just the fear of you being out in the field with these people or in an area that is, a dangerous zone.
Yeah.
So the thought of that would probably wreck somebody's mental, shake it a little bit.
Absolutely.
So in terms of now you are a veteran and you're getting acclimated, well, not really acclimated because you had just transitioned into was it considered a civilian job at the time?
It was.
So, but what was it like once you got back to the States?
It was, you go from this feeling of having support and camaraderie, and then you're out of that. So once you're removed from that, it is, you have this disembodied feeling. Like you've just left behind everything you did, almost leaving behind your identity, separating yourself. They call it's the term separating from the military, and it really has the same feel of separating from some spouse or something else, anyone else like that. I'm sure that there are plenty of people that were happy and looking forward to getting out of the military. Others, like myself, I enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed doing what I did. And getting out can be difficult. There are programs, like New Vision House of Hope and other programs for a reason. We don't always transition well.
Right. That was one of the things that myself and Ms. Whitehead was talking about before. The transition can be different for anybody. And we are seeing more men that it's affecting than naturally the women that are being affected by it. But it's people in general. Did you know what services were out here for you in terms of being a veteran?
When separating, you hear very little. I wasn't aware of most of what the VA does. They really don't tell you.
So it's not like a class, like what they call it normally, an exit interview that normally you have.
There was, but it really tends to happen quickly. And to be honest, when you're transitioning, you have so many things on your mind that you tend not to pay attention to certain things unless it's really affecting you at that moment.
Right.
They hit you with a lot of information.
Because they may describe the VA, and this is one of my thoughts, maybe they describe the VA as more of a health thing versus mental health or, just stability as for veterans. So maybe that's probably why they, like you just said, they kind of sit that to the side. And if anything, if I have any health problems, then I'm going to go there. Thanks. So real quick, we're going to go to another commercial break. We'll be right back, a longer segment. So we'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com. And it was crazy enough that he said that. That was...
Long live Pop. Y'all can go ahead and cry now. I'ma show these niggas what to do with one of your beats, man. I am Gas, by the way.
Strong woman story should have been on CNN. Nobody knows what it's like being Gwen. Windows closed in the house, it ain't no CNN. Can't gain weight for years, she been being thin. Single mother, no help from the system. When they was giving out food stamps, she missed them. Birth certificate, baby daddy, she couldn't list them. But her son was so beautiful when she kissed him. Blame it on love, but nigga she could've died with. Destroyed the whole world and found out she was a side chick. The nigga loved his wife and it got hard to hide it. So when Gwen confronted him, he ain't even denied it. Her fault, depends on who you asking. She tried to be a stripper, but the tip out was taxing. Buying all the purses, trying to keep up with the fashion. And her mama hated babysitting with a passion. She deserved better circumstances. A black queen, she should've been blessed with certain chances. Looked down upon, getting all the hurting glances. Making men change up all the twerking stances. She never cried about the pain, only gritted her teeth. But most soldiers never get a flower or a wreath. She like G.I. Jane in the war with no relief. Don't recognize why killers was...
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. Today we have New Vision House of Hope Incorporated. They're with us today and they are here to promote the resource fair, the Veteran Stand Down Resource Fair that is Friday, July the 19th. It will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the War Memorial, 101 North Gate Street. Come on down. They have registration for voters, educational materials, health screenings, legal aid, veteran services, employment services, expungement services, access to public benefits, a lot of giveaways, a lot of vendors that will be there representing these many different resources as well. I see free haircuts, a little bit of entertainment. There will be some artists there. So I'm going to come back to you, sir, but I just wanted to get a little bit of that out in terms of where are we now with this happening? In terms of, do you have a lot of people pre-registering or pre?
It's not a pre-registration.
Okay.
So right now we're trying to get the word out to all of the area veterans to come on down, join us for breakfast. We also will have lunch available, and as you said, many services will be present for the resource fair. There'll be over 50 vendors present, able to talk with you about whatever your barriers may be.
Now, one of the things that I wanted to ask, because I just saw on here grief support, are there, so those services exist for maybe the families of people that may have lost a veteran or lost a soldier or an enlisted member?
We thought it would be good to have grief support there because veterans come home from the service and everything's different. And they are mourning the loss of persons, but the loss of a certain way of life as well. So Roberta's House, who provides grief support here in the city, will be present to offer their services.
Okay. Thank you. I saw that and I just was wondering what that was. But back to our interview with our awesome veteran over here to my right. What are some of the things that you think, or things are misconceptions about being a veteran, or some misunderstandings that people may have about veterans?
A lot of people feel or think that veterans automatically receive some sort of payment or retirement or something of that nature. But that only is for those that retired from the military itself.
And what are the it's all the way up. She might need a new battery. What are some of the things that you struggle with in making that transition?
I felt, as I mentioned earlier, a feeling of isolation. I went from being in an environment where I was always around people, always interacting with people, to the exact opposite. You come back to the States and people just isolate themselves, and I didn't necessarily want to isolate myself, but it was forced upon me, and I went to some pretty dark places. Mentally, it wasn't something I was prepared for.
And do you mean more so life was going on and you just didn't fit into the flow at that moment?
There was certainly that. When you say life goes on, you come back and you don't identify with a lot of people because they haven't gone through what you've gone through. People always associate with those that are similar or have gone through similar things. It makes life easier.
Right.
But I didn't know where to find that. I didn't know how to find other people. There are plenty of websites and things out there now that help people come together, but even in the mid-2000s, that was only just starting.
Right.
Organizations like New Vision House of Hope exist to help provide you with that knowledge and that feeling of camaraderie that I've felt, that I don't feel alone when I go into a place like that or into any of these organizations. You walk in and you realize they understand you, even if the people there haven't gone through what you've gone through. They're well aware of the fact that you have a different mentality than other people. So it's been, as I said, I went through some dark times. I made some bad choices in my life, and when it came time to get back on my feet, New Vision House of Hope helped me with that.
So how long, because you said early 2000s, how long did you struggle with that before you were able to reach out and find an organization like New Vision?
I went downhill over several years and eventually got help in 2018, so it wasn't really all that long ago.
Wow. But it was a long distance since you had gotten out.
Yes, and it just slowly got worse. You don't notice it. You don't notice the fact that you are isolating yourself and pulling yourself away from everyone else.
That was I was going to follow up, did you realize that was the problem?
No, not at all. Once I started to get help and go through different mental health organizations, I gained a lot of life skills, and accepting therapy was a big step for me. Once I did that, once I accepted that help and helped myself, it put me in the right place to go find help. And
how old were you when you enlisted?
18.
So, and when you got out?
27.
So, did they prepare you for this? Was there, like I said, the exit interview that sometimes you get in certain jobs? Did you get something similar to that, or?
No, you do have to out-process everything.
Right.
But in my case, I found out that I was getting out 3 months before I did. I had planned on staying in, and then all of a sudden everything happened, and they said, "You're, in 3 months, you're gone."
Oh wow! So you didn't choose to leave? It was more so your job title, kind of.
Well, with that, I could have, as I said, I could have stayed in, but it would have required me to. The job that they were looking to put me in was just so different from what I had done for 10 years.
Okay.
They wanted me to go work in the services group, meaning I would work at a hotel on base and be a desk clerk.
wow.
At that point, when I found out I was working at Fort Meade in the intel world, so it was just not something I was mentally prepared to do either. I probably would have run into separate issues with that.
I mean, it probably didn't even compare to what you had been doing.
No.
And it just felt like they was just putting you in a position that was available. Yeah, that sounds strange.
Needs of the Air Force. That's the term. And
did that happen to a lot of other soldiers at the time too?
It did. So it wasn't just me. And it happens all the time. During that time period, there were people that got pulled back in.
Right.
You know, in the Army, a lot of people that had separated and were going about their business found out, oh no, you're back in the military now.
Well, because of what was coming, what had happened.
Yes.
Actually.
So there's a lot of things changes that happen that you volunteered for, but it doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make it easier to have to go through a massive amount of change that quick. So even though we put ourselves in that position by enlisting and volunteering for the military, it doesn't mean that it's easy.
Now, I'm not trying to get into your bank account or anything, but how did all of the finances and how did that transition work out? Is it a smooth transition, or was so your last paycheck is going to be on this day, and then whatever happens after that is for you to decide?
It pretty much works like that. When your last paycheck's coming in, and that's that.
The benefits, are they the same as well?
No, the benefits. See, this is where the lack of information really causes problems. They don't talk about the VA or any of the things that really go into it. They tell you, okay, you can go to the VA and talk to them, but you have no idea. And as I mentioned, we don't have a retirement or anything like that unless you do your 20 years and retire.
Right.
There are no separation packages unless something. There are circumstances where that'll happen, but it's not some early retirement. They don't, give you a bunch of money to get out with.
Do you qualify? I'm quite sure if you don't meet the 20 years, do you get Social Security automatically, or?
You get you're out. It's like transitioning out of a job without a severance package. So it's if you've been smart enough to save up money. When I joined, they didn't even have the savings plans that they have now. They did come about while I was in, but you weren't getting any they weren't matching anything. It was basically just putting your money away.
Is that what they do now?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But they don't have any 401k style plans or anything like that. So when you're in, they you have to save your money. A lot of people don't realize that your base pay that you have, not including things like housing and such, but your base pay is taxed. So you still have to, pay your taxes and do things like that. Right. So your benefits are great in the military, but
while you're in it,
you're in the military,
we were talking about that.
And I think civilians understand that, but I think the powers that be, I think we all look at them like you have to understand that people are putting their lives on the line at your order, and there's nothing coming back. I've seen many people get out of the service and it's just nothing. I just knew that there was some pot of money where you're okay, we're going to set you up with this, or I know there are a lot of programs that they can go back to school with and stuff like that, but it's nothing to really safety net if you don't have 20 plus years into this.
Now, Mr. Ellis was able to utilize the GI Bill to go back to school.
Right.
So that was one of the connections that we made, one of the things that he wanted to do.
Right.
Now, Mr. Ellis, which are all veterans eligible for the GI Bill? There are two different ones, correct?
Now there's a third.
There's a third.
Wow.
Is
it levels or just?
No, it's the programs, when I joined, there was the Montgomery GI Bill, for those that remember
that's,
back.
The most well-known one.
After 9/11, it transitioned to the post 9/11 GI Bill. And now there's the Forever GI Bill. They all have different stipulations. They all have different rules. For the Montgomery GI Bill, we had to pay money into that. $100 a month for the first 12 months that we were in the military.
Okay.
That you then had 10 years after separating to use that.
Okay.
Then post 9/11, anybody that separated after 9/11 or served, I think it's 30 days, something like that, after 9/11, is eligible for that, for the post 9/11. And there's 15 years to do that. The Forever GI Bill came after that. I really don't know the details because it's only about a year old, if that.
But I'm sure you have to have a certain amount of time in, probably, to get it.
And your discharge depends on your discharge as well.
Now, speaking of that, that was one of the things that we had said. In order for you to qualify for a lot of the VA-sponsored things, and even the New Vision, you have to have a certain discharge level. What are the different levels, and did you understand that coming out?
I knew getting out I had an honorable discharge.
Okay.
So I really didn't know about any of the other problems that would arise for those that don't have that. You think of honorable and dishonorable discharge, but there's a whole spectrum in between that. There's general discharges with honorable mentions and less than honorable and other than honorable, and there's different benefits available to people depending on that. And it's, trying to figure that out. I've seen plenty of people that have had great difficulty figuring out what they can and can't do, thinking something would be there for them, and then when they go to apply for it, they find out it's not.
Qualify.
And that was a couple of the things that we talked about in terms of, how much time do you have in your level of discharge or your type of discharge, and I think those are the two kind of top qualifications, and just the time that you have in. I think I said that too, but you kind of matched those things because you didn't have either of those issues, so more stuff was available to you. But the fact that it's not so much of a transitional, even a sit-down meeting, like these are the things that you can go get, and these are the things that are afforded to you, and it's all beyond medical assistance and stuff like that. I think that is something that needs to be looked at in terms of this body of people who put their life on the line, aside from everything else, leaving their family behind and all those things. It needs to be spelled out. And I know, the service is kind of a rapidly moving machine, but there needs to be something that's put into place, or a representative from the VA that's at all of these bases that are there to basically tell you. I'm quite sure banks come there, and credit card companies set up at at the base. I forgot what you call the base mall or whatever, but they come and set up. And
PX and the commissary?
Yeah, the commissary, they come set up various vendors. Why have they never decided to bring the VA to come and set up?
The VA, I think, does have offices, but the thing is you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So you don't know that you should go talk to them about these things. And I think another issue is the people at the VA. There's a difference between the VA and the separate programs that exist for veterans.
Okay. So on that note, we're going to go, and I think we got one more break, unless we can beg them to stay a little bit longer. But we'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BigExposedRadio.com. I knew it would be a little bit different having an actual...
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run. The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and it was Weeders, of course, one with a home run, drove
hit the home run.
Hit the home run.
Right.
They were going into that national series. It seemed like they were doing so well, and they just crapped out. They got that game postponed, so who knows when they're going to replay that or play that game. That's my first not for the night.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and weigh in on my who's not, and I'm going to talk about the San Diego Padres.
The Padres. That's okay. You just took my answer.
They're in last place in the NL West. They've lost 8 of their last 10. Their run differential is a -65, which is just horrible. So when you have, well, let me just talk about run differential a little bit. It's kind of like the
how much you're winning or losing your games by, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. It's like the margin of victory, kind of.
Right.
So when you're in a negative number, that means that then
your average game you're losing
by a whole lot.
Right.
I mean, a number like -65, this early into the season is pretty rough.
That's horrible.
The pitching numbers pretty much support this stat right here. I mean, the team ERA is 4.70, which is 26th in the league. They have 126 walks allowed. They acquired Jared Weaver in the offseason, and he really has not panned out. He's off to one of the worst starts in any of the pitchers in 2017. He's 0-4 with a 6.05 ERA. In May alone, he already has 12 earned runs in May. And, another one of their pitchers, Clayton Richard, he's 2-4 with a 4.34 ERA. And, in May, he has 6 earned runs and 12 innings pitched. So they're not pitching well. And on top of that, they're also not batting well.
Right. But it kind of sucks because Manuel Margot.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
While getting help, I saw brochures for VIPs and there were representatives that would talk at places, and I ran into other veterans and heard a friend of mine did some research for me, and from 3 separate people on 3 different occasions, New Vision House of Hope showed up. So I heard about it from
for being in this area too, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that kept coming up, and so when you hear it from multiple places, okay, I've got to go check this place.
Things, right?
Absolutely, I really did. I heard a lot of good things. So once I showed up, I went from this is how quick that everything happened. From not knowing what was going on, from not having a place to live. From not having any money.
Meaning income.
Income. Right. Not having income. And at the time, I didn't think I had anything, really. But that was in October. Within...
Of last year?
Yes.
Okay.
Within, and I had come in and received a lot of information, I think in September, actually. And then when it came time where I was in a crunch, I said to Miss Whitehead, okay, I need to move forward on this fast. Within a week, I had everything set up, a place to live, and I was able to move in.
And that's a blessing, one, but definitely it speaks to just how many resources are out there for veterans and what can happen, but also just the knowledge, because you kind of fit into a specific group that's probably smaller than what Ms. Whitehead would normally see. That may be a couple hurdles that you might have to go over in terms of getting identification and having all your information all lined up and stuff. Well,
he had to get his ID. He had to, and the required documents are birth certificate, Social Security card, Maryland State ID, VA ID card, if you're eligible to receive one, which he was. So there was a time frame within which we had to work, and that was the 3 months, because our program is short term, 90 days for all eligible veterans, and of course you have to come in to be assessed. We did that, He was enrolled in the program, and then it came time to make things happen.
Right.
And the first of which was housing. So.
And just with that being a priority for you coming into this program, what were some of the things that you got in addition to that? Because I wanted to introduce him as an artist as well. So you're now en route to going to school soon. So what other things were that you did not know that this would help you with?
Well, I knew that the GI Bill was there, as we were talking about, but how to get that is not necessary, and I didn't have a computer at the time. I didn't have the ability to go online other than at the library or something like that. New Vision, Miss Whitehead helped me with that.
Right.
Gave me all the contact information, told me exactly who to go to, called them for me.
Okay.
And everything was set up. So that was in October. By January, I was a full-time student, going for school using the GI Bill. They helped give me money with the GI Bill. If you're a full-time student, they give you money to cover your housing.
Okay.
So, we received that. Doing the job that I've been doing, working as an artist, I needed tools.
Okay.
He was connected with another organization that we work with that I've mentioned before, Easter Seals.
Okay.
That helped him with the cost of the tools for his art.
Cool. And I'm quite sure there are so many people that could be in that same lineup with him.
And that's what I want them to hear. So you heard him say he was housed.
Right.
Right? And so you also heard him say he didn't have any income. So when it came time to house him, I was able to support him by paying a security deposit and a few months of rent until he was receiving...
Just a balance amount.
Until he was receiving his BAH through the VA to help with his housing costs.
Okay.
So I want the veterans out there to understand, please come in. See if you're eligible to receive SSVF services. Sit down with one of our case managers, and we're here to help you get back on track.
If nothing else gets you there, like, those things are definitely important just for everyday life, beyond going back to school and, getting your mental health in order and housing and just jump-starting you in terms of being financially stable. Would you say those were like priorities for you in this short period of time?
Yes, the big thing was housing. So many things happened so fast that if I didn't have that peace of mind of knowing that I wasn't going to be homeless, of knowing that I had food to eat. You helped me figure out, Miss Whitehead helped me figure out the food stamp, how to go ahead and do that, move forward with food stamps. All these things are very hard to do on your own when you're stressed. Because you don't
think about it. Like, you're not thinking about...
And he's not from here.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Where are you originally from?
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So I don't...
Different system.
And I didn't have any other support here in the area.
Okay.
So also, getting around, transportation. I was helped with that by Easter Seals. They helped me. So it was everything that I needed for me to feel comfortable enough to go out and do the other stuff that I needed to do. Fill out the paperwork for my veterans disability paperwork, get help with that. I'll move forward with all that. All of that was accomplished because of organizations like New Vision House of Hope, who really did, carry the brunt of the weight for me when I was really in a bad place.
So we're going to take another break, and we'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com, so don't go anywhere. Sit tight. If y'all can say one more thing.
Whatever happened to the times when we cared for one another? We what is happening. We're trading what's important for shiny things. I can't allow this blasphemy. It's blasphemy. Why would you treat yourself like that? We didn't come this far just to fall right back. Don't lose yourself, stay on track. Baby, you're a god. Baby, you're a god. Believe that. Full of the things that we've overcome. Full of unspoken battles we've won.
I'm LeVar Burton, and I'm proud to be a book person. How do I choose a book? Sometimes it's the cover, sometimes it's the title. I guess I'm pretty visual. If a book's really impressing me and the writing is really good, I will peek and see what the last paragraph is, because the endings of books should rock you. I am a book person, and if you're a book person too, read to a child and spark a lifetime of ambition. Join me at bookpeopleunite.org, because reading is fundamental. A public service announcement brought to you by Reading is Fundamental, Library of Congress, and the Ad Council.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
First they love you, then desert you, leave with a playful with no spawn. Ain't no space, I can't escape negativity.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Well, but I really hope that people find their way to this, to get some of those services. We're going to try to find as many people to fill this space up and get those services, because they're readily available every day.
Right.
You're just housing them in this one resource
That's
center.
correct.
So we managed to keep them for one more segment. And I wanted Ms. Ellis to tell us more about his artistry and what are you doing as a result of all of these things working out and coming together for you.
Well, what I really wanted to do was to get into art and go in a different direction from the technical world and move into something that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed doing woodworking, carving, doing a lot of design work. While working as a contractor, as I mentioned, I did a lot of engineering design. So it was something that I felt I wanted to do in a different way.
So the technology that you're working with now was kind of aided from that.
Exactly. Using some of the CAD systems. I went ahead and looked at what I could do to move into that, and because of the GI Bill that exists, I realized I could go and become a full-time student, and they would help me, and that GI Bill would help me get on my feet. So as you mentioned, the stuff's out there. Those programs are out there. And
not always easy to find, but they're definitely out there.
Not easy to find at all. But once I found someone that was knowledgeable on it, at New Vision House of Hope, Miss Whitehead told me right away, relax, calm down. We're going to get this done. We're going to figure it all out, and we did. And I was able to move into art school. In that time, I mentioned to you earlier, I had this time frame before school started. So once I knew I was going to school, I thought, what am I going to do with this time? I found an internship for doing leather art and leather bag design with a group called CEO Leather Art. And gentleman, Mike Worthy, helped me. He gave me, for 3 months during that time period, I went through the training, went through the apprenticeship program, And once completing that, I actually work for him as a contractor now. So he helped me to figure out, how to do things as a contractor, figure out my taxes and do everything like that. So I work as an independent contractor doing leather work for him and also doing my own stuff. And I have worked for other people that needed leather products as well. And now that I know how to do things as a private contractor, that has made life a lot easier for me, because when you're going through different transitions and you need to be flexible to be able to, I need to go to the VA to do this paperwork, or I need to do something like this. Having that ability to be on your own schedule was very important and helped me, as opposed to if I had to be at work at specific times, I may not have been able to take some of the opportunities that I did.
I mean, your story in and of itself, this lets me know that, and just anybody, start wherever you are. You can't try to do everything on your own, and if it seems like it's too difficult, reach out for help, because you didn't directly get to the VA or New Vision right away. You sought help, and that help led you to these organizations. So wherever you are as a veteran, if you're homeless on the street, start where you are. Let people know your status as a veteran, and because that could kind of open doors for you that may not necessarily be always available to everybody. But just start where you are, and it'll lead you to where you are. But don't just give up, or not go.
Go to the VA, and although you may not be eligible for VA services, they'll say, go to New Vision House of Hope, and then come see what our program has to offer to you.
And just don't give up that first no, because sometimes people, you're not necessarily articulating what's wrong or what you need, or you're not strong enough to say what you need, honestly. But just keep going, beyond that, and keep working beyond that, because what I see in you is just the ability to just keep it moving, and then you started seeking out that information once you got that open door and realized, where you have been isn't where you had to stay, and that speaks a lot about just your character and who you are. And I know not everybody is ready for that, but just start where you are. Simply as that. Just start where you are. Is there anything that you would want to say to the people out there in terms of, one, where can they reach you in terms of your artwork? And two, any advice that you can give to any veterans that may be in the position that you were in at one time?
First off, with doing the artwork, not to the point where I have a website yet, unfortunately. So,
well, that's what social media is for.
That's right.
So that I'm as I mentioned earlier, my name is Jeff Ellis. I do work with, as I mentioned, CEO Leather Art still. So I sell stuff directly through them as well.
Okay.
So I'm, anyone can look that up online. Something that I would say for veterans is ask for help. Ask for help. It is,
that pride is tricky.
It as I mentioned, it sounds, once I asked for help, everything moved quick. But there was from 07 to 18 where I didn't. So I just want to stress, there was that 11-year period where I didn't ask for help. And then when I did in October, now here it is July, and I'm where I want to be.
Right.
So it's, once I asked for help, it happened.
And it's hard. Like, pride will keep you. Pride is worse than fear. Like, pride will keep you just going in a different direction altogether. Fear will just stop you, but pride will have you turned around in a whole different direction, knowing you're going the wrong way. But in terms of, so a question that I normally ask to my guests on here is, and it's a question that kind of makes you look back, but it doesn't mean that you want to prevent anything from happening. But what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self?
Funny enough, that's when I enlisted. I did early enlistment for the military. I don't know. If I looked back, I would at my 17-year-old self, I'd say, to just keep moving forward all the time. I think I when things got bad, I stopped. And I think that was part of that dark period. Is I let it all get me bogged down, and I stopped moving forward. I didn't know how, and I didn't ask for help.
I think we get stuck also when we don't see any change or any movement, or it's not substantial enough.
Right.
So I like to always say, we're going to take baby steps. We don't have to take leaps and bounds. We're just going to take baby steps. I live by that.
Right.
And I share that with all of my veterans. It's just baby steps. It's not going to happen all at once. You have to try to be patient. You have to trust the process, and you have to trust me. And I think it works because I have in my heart the best interest of my veterans. I really do, and I try very hard. And I think Mr. Ellis, and I'm not twisting his arm over here or anything, will say that I had his best interest at heart.
And it's rare to find people who aren't just doing a job. And on the opposite side of that, we all have goals. I don't think anybody is absent or void of any goals. But you have to be aware of the goal, but just look at what's next, and getting there instead of looking all the way down the line and staying focused there. Anything, that hallway will always seem like it's everlasting. But if you just stay focused on what is the next step and what is the next step to that goal, I think a lot of people will be so much calmer in their pursuits versus always feeling like they're rushing and trying to keep up with age and time and technology and just other people. But it definitely says a lot about the organization. So I think we have a couple minutes left, so can you give us just another brief overview of the 19th, to expect?
So I have a list. I can't remember them all, so I'm going to read from my list some of the vendors that are going to be present at our event. So we had talked about free haircuts. There are also going to be free massages available.
Oh, cool.
Woohoo, I'm going to be in that line.
Look at that early.
That's right, get there early. We're going to have a representative from SOAR. SOAR is part of, they help all people, veterans included, with making connection to their Social Security benefits. So we're going to have a veteran SOAR specialist. He works only with veterans. Who's going to be there. University of Maryland Health Advantage is going to be there. As I said, the VA is going to be there, Project Place, the MVA, MDOT will be present for any veteran out there who may be homeless. The Weinberg Housing and Resource Center will be on site. The Mayor's Office of Employment Development will be on site. We talked about Roberta's House for anyone in need of grief counseling. The Board of Elections, if you're not registered to vote, because we need you out there to vote, right? You can register to vote. We'll also have some housing opportunities. Some persons, Hanover Square, Westminster House, there's one more, our home properties are going to be present. DLLR, Goodwill Industries, Healthcare for the Homeless, Healthcare Access Maryland, Franciscan Center, the massage folks, Holistic Massage will be there. The legal aid will be on site to help with expungements, discharge upgrades, a whole variety of services that legal aid can provide, civil matters, divorce, or what have you. 211 United Way, there are going to be some persons available to assist you with financial planning. Say if you don't have a bank account, you may be receiving your benefits on a card. Well, Navy Federal will be there, BB&T will be there, Cash Campaign will be on site to assist. Also, they'll be doing connection with SNAP benefits. The Baltimore Station will be there. McVet will be there. If you are a homeless in need of shelter, if you're in need of substance abuse treatment, you can seek out these programs. Who else? Of course, New Vision House of Hope is going to be there, representing with our transitional housing program, our IOP, and the SSVF program. And if you didn't know, SSVF stands for Supportive Services for Veterans and Their Families. We don't just service the veteran, we service that veteran family as a whole. Free haircuts provided by Baltimore Beauty and Barber. Maryland Able will be on site. They assist with disabled veterans. I talked about legal aid. Paul's Place will be there. And the VA, as I said, and another organization called Aid Our Veterans will be on site. One of the employers that will be hiring on site, Just Energy, will be there. So, and there are probably some that I'm forgetting. But come on out, check it out. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some exercise in motion. There'll be yoga, blood pressure screenings, diabetes screenings. If you need any referrals for any of those health issues, you can get those at the day of the event. Mr. Ellis is going to be there displaying his artwork. You can come and talk to him, not only about our program from a veteran standpoint, but you can see some of his artwork. And we hope to have some other veterans providing food. We're going to have Mission Barbecue, Nando's Peri Peri Chicken.
I'm going to be there.
The Olive Garden's going to be there. Fridays. Guess who else? Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, okay.
Is providing food. Einstein's Bagels, Dunkin' Donuts.
I think the veterans need to get there a little bit earlier so they can get everything done, because they're going to be sleepy by the time
That's right. That's right.
Put them all the way in the back. Put all of them in the back.
So there's going to be lots of food and giveaways present as well. We have Blaze Pizza provided us with some gift cards to hand out. Pizza Day Joey is providing some platters of food. So there's going to be lots of resources. You can eat breakfast, you can have some lunch, you can exercise, burn off some of that pasta, right?
And then eat some more and then go to sleep at one of these various vendor spaces.
So it's going to be a great day, full of fun. And as I said, Mr. Ellis will be there. I'll be whizzing around the building. You'll have to grab me to catch me, but I'll be there as well. And I hope to see many other folks.
So that has been New Vision House of Hope Incorporated. And we'll be back finally on next Monday.
Yes.
And then the following Friday is actually when this resource fair will be on the 19th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the War Memorial Building at 101 North Gay Street. Is right directly across from the lawn of City Hall. So come on down. Very accessible to all transportation and such, public transportation. So come on down.
Doors open at 9:30.
9:30. Get there. Telling you. Right. So I'll see you this Friday. Our next show, we got a surprise guest coming through. So this Friday and every Monday and Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. only on BigExposedRadio.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing!
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is a Poverty ENT exclusive. Next stop, Texaco, strapped up, you already know, fuck niggas hate, that's how it goes, bros with me, yeah, it's time to go.